If you're on Instagram, you probably follow a few Stones pages, and likely you are already following the Rolling Stones fan page. Packed with rare photos and great info, it's my favorite spot on Instagram to get my Stones fix. Well, today let's meet the person behind this great page. It was great fun to speak with Bella Fraser about her history with the Stones, what she thinks is the Stones' most underrated albums, and what is probably their best song ever. I so enjoyed this chat with Bella, and I know you will too. People like yourself who start these very successful Instagram pages, how did this come about? Was it something that came naturally or just came out of the blue?
Well, in August, it will be like 10 years since I've had the page. So I started, 2014, when I first started it. And honestly, I created it on a whim because I'm obviously a younger girl. So I just sort of did it. And over the years, it just blew up into something that what it is today. And it's pretty, I didn't realize like how amazing it is until people were telling me, this is pretty cool what you've got here. And I'm like, oh yeah, you know what, it actually is. Um, so that's how I first started, and it just grew.
Right now, you have about 50,000 followers, something about that?
Yeah, yeah, around there, yeah, which is pretty. It's weird to say out loud, really.
Yeah.
No, it's pretty cool. But I've been very grateful for the page. Like it's been able to get me, to get in contact with, people like yourself and other people who, love the Stones. And I've been able to like be in contact with, well, maybe not the band themselves, but like, people and related to them and being able to receive, good gifts and merchandise, which is like amazing. And it just adds to my collection. It's
Oh,
been really good.
that's so cool. Well, I have to ask. Okay, I didn't know 10 years. That's fantastic. I've only been on Instagram for a few
Yeah.
years. That's why I didn't know it went back that far. But well, maybe we can go back to your history and let us know the first time you heard the Stones. Do you remember that? The first song, the first film, the first whatever that entered your life?
So when I was around 12, for Christmas, my mum bought me the Grr CD, like the
Oh,
greatest hits,
I can't stand that cover. That is one of the worst covers. I hate that
with the
artwork. So,
gorilla.
oh,
Because of that CD, I just spent that, well, it was summer over here in Australia, but I spent that whole summer just listening to the CD, and I just didn't listen to anything else and I was hooked. So pretty much the first song I properly heard was Come On, like
wow. Whoa.
very, very early. So
Sure.
imagine listening to Come On and then the whole track list to Doom and Gloom. And I'm thinking, what is this band? Like it's so different, like all these songs.
Yeah.
But I think looking back, because I wasn't really grown up much on it, it was just sort of, I think maybe I've just from memories just seeing the Stones here and there, but it never stuck until that time when I properly listened to them. So from then on, then I think as Instagram first started, then because really I didn't really know much of the band. It was more the page that helped me. I thought like Bill Wyman was Mick Taylor. Like I had no idea who was who or like any of that. And so I had to like learn really. But yeah, that's how I properly got into the Stones.
That Ian
So
Stewart was
yeah.
such a great lead singer, wasn't he? Ian Stewart.
Yes, yes, fabulous. Great front man.
Yeah. That's amazing because I actually started from the back, worked my way. I guess the front, but more recent, and I worked my way back because when I became a fan, it was 1997, 98. They were out with Bridges to Babylon, and so that was my first exposure. So I know even then they were quote the old band already, but to me they were still some badasses that looked pretty cool, and so they were still new to me. And I had a very strange musical upbringing. My diet growing up was all oldies music, so I didn't really pay attention to anything current at all. So
Right.
anyway, so it took me a while to gravitate to go all the way back to the early stuff like Come On and Brian Jones. How did you maneuver through all that? Was it sloppy to kind of go from one era to another, or did you take things in a linear way? How do you approach it now? Is it something you have a preference for, one over the other?
I think I was more as I grew older and getting more into that classic rock. I really stuck with, I think, like the like Mick Taylor
Mhm.
years, that type, that early 70s rock. And then now in the next few years, I've like gone to appreciate more of like their early stuff. And I really am into like the bluesy type of
Wow.
stuff. So I've got a lot of appreciation for that.
Cool.
Um, because even like the 80s stuff I really like, and I know that's not even popular, but it's just sort of,
You know what?
I don't
No.
know.
Bella, that's it. We are going to be the front of this army to change this because I've had enough of people crapping on the 80s stuff and the 90s stuff. And like it's time to revert and reverse all that
Yeah,
argument, you know.
I know. It just seems, I think everyone's too focused on their success of the early days
Yeah.
that there's that pressure. I don't know. It's just a bit, I don't know why it gets so much hate. I don't think it's that bad.
No, I don't like, for example, what are some of the ones that come to mind for you in the 80s that will make you go, "Oh yeah, I'll listen," because there are a few that I'll put on repeat many times because it's
Yeah.
just a banger.
Well, I really enjoy the Undercover album.
Yeah.
Like, I think I really enjoy the song Too Much Blood. I think it's
Oh,
funny and I think it's fun.
have you heard the like some of the bootlegs from that era? There were all these dub remixes that I don't know, Mick maybe, or I don't know if Chris he was a producer. I don't know if he worked with them, but there are these 16-minute remixes of Too Much Blood that are like 16 minutes long. And
Oh my God, I need
it's
to find that.
oh, I'll have to send it to you. It is a trip. And if you love that song, like it's just put on a black light and have some drinks or whatever. It's fun. It's
Oh my
fun.
God, that's
But
a good one. And even, well, even like early, like obviously Tattoo You is a great album in itself, but even like Emotional Rescue and
yeah.
just like how they were just trying with all these different sounds, like they're even their own take on disco and reggae. And, it's just, I don't know. I don't mind it. I don't mind the 80s. I have no problem with
That's one of my
80s.
favorite songs to sing is Emotional Rescue. Is there nothing I can say, nothing I can do? I mean, how can you not get into like you must have a Mick Jagger song that you all of a sudden like, oh my God, I'm moving. What the hell's going on with me?
Yeah.
You know.
Oh my God, when you should hear whenever I play Stray Cat Blues, my voice, I don't know, I know it's a bit of a song, but like my voice, I don't know. Someone made a comment to me and was like, "Why are you turning into Mick Jagger when you sing it?" I'm like, I don't know. You can't help it sometimes.
No, like literally, you'll just be listening, and all of a sudden, it's just this happens, and then all of a sudden, you're like, "Why are my arms? What is going on?" You
And
know.
little skip.
Exactly.
I know.
Yeah, it's you just morph into it. I'm so happy to hear that you love Undercover because I just did a whole month in November because it was its 40th anniversary. So I did a bunch of videos on it, and people really came out of the woodwork saying, "I'm glad you're mentioning it because everyone likes to shit on it, and it's like it's so unfair." And it's a very bold album, for a bunch of old guys at the time, even. You know,
Yeah. But I think that's like the magic of the Stones. I think they've learned to adapt in whatever decade they're in. I reckon I don't know, I reckon they've done pretty well. Obviously they've done well, but I reckon it's just not something to crap on a lot. Like it is very overlooked, and it's a shame in some ways that, but it's good that there are people that appreciate it.
yeah, um, yeah, and some people use it as a minus against them that they survived over the decades because in order to do that you have to adjust your sound to whatever is popular each decade, and I don't know, to me that's a sign of longevity and strength, that you can survive. Well, on the flip side of Undercover, I understand that you have quite some love for It's Only Rock and Roll. Is that right?
I do. Like, it's not my favorite album, but it's one that I never hear about. And when you do hear about it, all you hear about it is it was Mick Taylor's last album. And I'm guilty of even posting that, like, oh, this was Mick Taylor's last album. Like, that's literally, and that's all everyone has to say about it. And in even just listening to it today, I'm just like, wow, it's just got some good tracks and it is a good rock and roll album that you just never you just never hear about, really. It's just like
Mhm.
it just gets skimmed. Like it's just,
Yeah.
you
What
know.
are some favorite tracks on there for you?
Um, well, I do really like the It's Only Rock and Roll, but I do think that's a very catchy anthem. Um, but a great song on it that is I think is underrated and never hear anyone talk about is Fingerprint Files.
Oh,
That
Bella,
is
you're
a
killing me
great
here.
song.
Oh yeah, that's great.
It is a
Funky.
great song. Yeah, it's good. And it's
Oh
just,
yeah.
it's just like, and it's catchy and you can just, have a little groove to it.
Oh yeah.
And it's just like, I hear no one, like, even just like on any other stones account, just no one posts about it, talks about it, nothing. And I'm like, okay, like, it's not, you know
You
what I
know,
mean? And
oh yeah, totally. And people, you'd think people would praise it more because people do love Mick Taylor and they love that Mick Taylor era, and that's Mick Taylor on bass on that song.
mm,
And he's just funky it up with that great lick. And I that's another one where I love transforming into Mick. That's a very cinematic movie, kind of a cinematic kind of song. It feels like a movie,
mm.
that song to me, especially the end with the whole good night, sleep tight.
Again,
Ow! You know, that whole thing.
yeah, no, you sort of feel like you're in that, like a crime gangster like movie. I know what you mean.
Oh yeah, and and that's the thing that I think the Stones are so good at. They're really good at creating these vibes
Yeah.
that some bands, I don't know, just well, everyone has their strength, but that's their strength is that they can create these little worlds. And Fingerprint Files is like I feel like I'm gonna put my collar up, strut down the street. It's so much fun.
Good. Yeah, I agree with you there. And obviously their cover of Ancient Bag I think
Oh,
is good. And I just think it's a great take. And they're like the Stones, as well as they're good at their own sound, they're very good at covers.
hmm
um but that and then Dance Little Sister Dance
oh
is like a good, just like
yeah,
they've got like, and If You Can't Rock Me I think is a great rock and roll song. So it's got like all different elements of rock and roll and everything that I don't know, just doesn't get appreciated. I don't
yeah.
think.
I know. I don't know what it is because to me, like, if you can't rock me, like, should have been one of the big songs, like "Start Me Up" or "Brown Sugar" or
Yeah,
something.
exactly. And it's got like a catchy chorus and everything. So it is, I don't know, it's a shame that it doesn't get, the recognition it deserves.
I've always thought that "It's Only Rock and Roll" had a problem with its sound. Like the mix of it isn't as
Mm,
punchy as a lot of the other albums. So I always felt like that
mm,
was sort of the issue with why it just didn't make it. But I know it's a stupid reason. But yeah, I mean, this year is its 50th anniversary. It's only
wow,
rock.
it is too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
That's something.
Wow. I'll make a post about it.
Yeah. How do you decide what goes on your posts and stuff? Is it like on a whim?
Um, It is it's more just like whatever I find. It has been harder in the last couple of years because life gets in the way. So it's more hard because it's not as simple as just finding a photo and posting it. It's looking to see if there's a story behind it or any facts and making sure everything is legit. And so I'm not going on saying the wrong thing because that's the last thing I want to do. Um, but it's more just, yeah, if it's something I come across and I think it's cool, or if I have time and I like know about a certain story and just do more in-depth research, and then that spawns off into other things. So it's just more whatever I can find. Um, but I am now that I'm back home, I'm going to make more of a conscious effort because I do enjoy it and I do enjoy learning more about them all the time. So, and
That's
there is
great.
plenty to learn. Like I know a lot, but I know there's so much more I have
Yeah.
no idea about.
Oh yeah, me too. As I've been putting this channel together, is that I'm constantly referring to my books and stuff because like there's always things to double check on.
Yeah.
So many bits of information. Um, you mentioned a song that you usually skip over. What would you say is a song that probably would be their best song? Is there such thing as the best ever Stone song? Could there be?
Well, I think Sympathy, it's not my favorite song, but I think it's their best song is Sympathy for the Devil.
Hmm. Interesting.
I
Why is
just
that?
think, well, it's just so, I just think it was just written so smart. Just the story behind and just expressing, him as the devil and the stories with the lyrics. And I've got on DVD the Jean-Paul Goddard, the 1+1. So I've watched that a few times, and just how they created that song is just amazing to me. And I just think they've articulated it so well that it's just like, I can't think of any other song that's written better. Like, I know people might think otherwise, but I just think it is just crafted so well, and you can't fault it. Like, you can't, there's nothing to fault. Like, everything from the lyrics to the drums to the woo woos, like
Hmm.
everything on it. Like, it's just, and it's just something you can, like, I'd never skip it, obviously. It's just a song. And it's a long song, it's six
Yeah.
minutes, but it doesn't even feel like that. It's got the catchy chorus, it's got everything you want in a song. And I
Hmm.
don't think it will ever go out of style. Like, even people I know my age, they obviously don't listen to old music like me, but they know that song, and they know, and they get into it, and they get, it's catchy and everything. So I just think it's the best. I think it is the best, yeah, Stone song.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine what people must have how they must have reacted when they first heard it back then, because it's a very different
Yeah.
song compared to a lot of the stuff that was coming out during that time. I mean, it's not your straight ahead song.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it is, I guess, to an extent controversial,
Yeah.
because a lot of people don't really, want to hear about the devil, or some things mentioned in the songs aren't like, might bring up trauma for people, who knows, but it is a very, and if you listen to the other songs on the album, Beggar's Banquet, it is got of that, it's a lot of political undertones
Hmm.
of what was going on in the times. And it is quite interesting to hear. Then you've got this song that sort of just like comes out on top, and it's just like, here I am, I'm the devil, I've created all this,
Hmm.
deal with it.
Do you,
You
do you
know
have
what
a
I mean?
do you have a favorite line from the song at all?
Ooh.
I've always been impartial to the I shouted out who killed the Kennedys.
Yeah. Ah,
You,
yeah.
you know,
I
that's a good
think,
one.
um, I think every cop is a criminal and all sinners saints.
Yeah, that's a damn good
Yeah,
one. Yeah.
yeah. I like
Yeah.
that. I like shouting that when I sing it. Like, that part's fun to yell at.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. There's a lot of good lines. And a lot of people don't give Mick credit for being a great lyricist, but I really think that, during that time, with I think Bob Dylan leading the way with a lot of, respect for lyrics. I think Mick paid attention to that. And I think it shows in songs like this, where it's a very literary song, lyrically, you know. But yeah, that documentary, that 1+1, that's a trip, that thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a bit odd in some in
Yeah.
some parts,
A lot
and
of parts.
there is a feature on the DVD where you can watch it without both parts and watch
Oh,
it with it.
smart.
um,
That's a great
I
idea.
think watching, so I think, because I think I was about 16 or 17 when I first watched it, and I'm just like, what is this? Like, what? Like, I just had no idea what's going on. But I guess
Yeah.
that's the era, that's, that's psychedelic, that whole, everyone's tripping out,
Yeah.
artistic adventures. um I think I watched it not long ago, and even watching those scenes today, I'm a bit like, what is going on? But still, just seeing like the stuff when they're in the studio is just like,
Oh, it's
it's
riveting.
just phenomenal. And just like every time I'm watching someone else, it's not just Mick, it's like, Bill just sitting there, or Keith being involved, or even Brian, just seeing Brian be, because that was obviously a time when he wasn't much involved, or sort of sliding. So just seeing
Mhm.
him be there, it's just like amazing just how they crafted this song.
Yeah, totally. I don't think I've ever seen the whole thing in complete form.
I don't blame you.
I've always watched it with my hand on the remote. I
Yeah,
didn't. I don't think I
yeah,
had the one with the edited out. You could have that bonus feature, but it is fascinating because that's as close as we're going to get for a Stones Get Back documentary.
yeah. That's what I kept referring it to because I have a friend who's a massive Beatles fan, so
Mm.
it's like headbutt. But um, I was telling her once, I'm like, oh, this is sort of like the Get Back version, but for Sympathy for the Devil.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. And some people couldn't stand like 6 hours as the Beatles Get Back. I loved it. I love all that kind of inside stuff. And I
Yeah,
wish we had more of the Stones, but we just got slivers of that in that documentary. But it's so fascinating to see them literally build it from the song from the ground up. It's
yeah, and even they play like different versions of the song
yeah,
too, and it's just like amazing to hear like what could have been and like how they
right.
came to like what we hear today, the recording. But
Yeah. No,
it's
I
great live too.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally. They've played that pretty consistently over the years, and it's such a showstopper, especially with the "Pleased to Meet You" part. He doesn't sing the "Who Killed the Kennedys" anymore. He won't sing that now.
Ah, really?
Yeah, it's been a while since you've sang that. Yeah.
Wow. I don't even think. I wonder if I noticed. I can't remember.
Uh-huh. Well,
My
there's a what's that?
in the show that I went to, I kind of remember like whether he said it or not, but I have to watch now new videos just to see where he
Yeah.
doesn't say it.
You know what? Oh, how many times when was the last time you saw them?
Well, I've only seen them once, and that
Hmm.
was in 2019. In 2014, they did come to Melbourne, and for whatever reason, I couldn't get a ticket, so I did just stand outside the arena
Oh,
and
cool.
I just cried. And so, but lucky enough, when I finished school and whatever, I think my dad felt bad that I couldn't go all those years ago. So he flew my mum, my sister, and I to Chicago, and that's when we saw them. And that was
Fantastic.
the best thing ever. But my parents saw them in '95 for the Voodoo Lounge
Cool.
tour, and I was like, that's pretty cool. But
Yeah.
I'd love to see them again, obviously, but I'm very grateful I got to see Charlie live. I'm very grateful.
His last tour.
Um, yeah,
Mhm.
wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, and
So,
they played great that tour. Did they have any special songs that night? You saw them in
um,
2 nights in Chicago, I think it was.
yeah, I went the second night. So the second night, and I think they did a vote. That's when they said like you could vote a few songs, and I
Hmm.
forgot what the top three was, but they ended up with Monkey Man
Oh,
was the
nice,
deciding one. It was good.
nice,
Um, and Keith did Before They Make Me Run,
cool.
which was pretty good because I didn't expect that one to be him to perform that one live. But I do have the set list somewhere.
Oh,
I
nice.
should go back. Yeah, because that was honestly one of the greatest nights of my life.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Well, that's all I wanted to do was just see the Stones live. So I'm glad I got to achieve that. But I did. The opening was Jumping Jack Flash. I do
Nice.
remember that. And then I just remember crying and holding my sister so I wouldn't fall over so I didn't pass out. But I was just
Would
so glad to be there.
Did they play all the songs you were expecting? Was there one song you were hoping they'd play
Um,
besides "Too Much Blood"?
oh, good question. Well, they oh, well, they play all their hits, so it's
Yeah.
like a bit tricky to, like really want a specific song because I have to play the hits, for the majority of people. But
Hmm.
my favorite song, Stone song, well, one of them is Midnight Rambler. So
Oh,
seeing that live was like amazing. Like I was just like, very, very excited and
yeah.
like and obviously just seeing Gimme Shelter live was amazing with Sasha on vocals. It
Hmm.
was just like that was just another highlight too because pardon me, just that recording so powerful and just to see it live is just like
Yeah.
It was just amazing. It was so good.
Oh yeah, Give Me Shelter is always talk about a vibe, and
Yeah.
I'm so happy to hear that Midnight Rambler is one of your favorites because that's my favorite song, you know.
Oh,
Totally.
yeah.
It's that's a movie, that song,
Yeah.
to me,
Yeah.
and I remember, to me, what happened was I was still a young fan, meaning I'd just been new to them for maybe a few months, maybe just under a year, and so I had gotten the Hot Rocks greatest hits, which is
Oh, yeah.
yeah, the older version of Gurr, you know.
Yes.
And I remember putting on disc two and going through all the songs, and they had included the live version of Midnight Rambler from the Get Your Ya-Ya's Out album on that album. And
Wow.
so once that song hit, I was just like, oh, this fucking band got me. That's it. They got me.
Yeah.
I'm locked in
Yeah.
at this point. I was just in like, what? You know, and that song is always, it's always been like, it's, to me, when they play that on the show, it's almost like a ritual, some kind of religious
Yeah.
traditional situation is happening. It's almost like, everyone quiet, get down. They're about to sing, they're about to play Midnight Rambler. Everyone shut up.
Well, that's when that happened at the Chicago concert when Keith accidentally started playing Midnight Rambler, but he was meant to play Paint It Black. I got excited. I was like, yes, Midnight Rambler. And then they stopped it, and I was like, what?
Oh, that's hilarious. I hope everyone should go look up that clip because it's so strange that, I don't know, they have a unofficial rule in that band where once you start a song, you got to go through with it because, I mean, everyone knew that it was in the wrong key. It was the wrong time for the song on
Yeah.
stage, yet Mick started to sing it, and then they decided, let's stop. So,
Yeah.
you were there for a historic moment that they stopped the song.
Yes. Yes, that was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. Yeah, that's always been my top favorite. I've always said it's my favorite song, but in the last couple of years, I've gotten into Jigsaw Puzzle.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's like it's like just under Midnight Ramble for me. So I
Cool. That's an obscure one.
yeah. I know it is, but I don't know. There's something about it. It's like Midnight Rambler. There's something about it that just has captured me and just sticks there.
Yeah,
I love
well,
it.
that was a very potent time for their music, wasn't it? That they
Yeah.
were able to get some sticky songs. um,
Yes.
Speaking of, I guess we were talking all these classic songs. The Stones just put out a few months ago Hackney Diamonds, their newest one, their first new one in like 20 years. Did you give it a listen? What did you think of that one?
I did listen to it. I thought it was a great album and probably the best thing they have like done in a long time. Like I know they've thrown out a few singles or their blues album, which is great. But this is like the Stones again. Like this is like, yeah, they're back in their mojo and
Interesting.
again, adapting to the times.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a great rock and roll record. And
Yeah.
and even with, you know, it's got a modern twist to it, and I think that they've done pretty well, especially with Angry, that single. That's, you can like, it doesn't matter who you are really. Like it's catchy, it's still rock and roll, it's modern, but it's got that old twist. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's great. Me personally, I don't look at it that like a bunch of men in their 70s have produced this, like have come up with
Right.
this. Like it's more just like they understand like their own roots and have incorporated that, and also of like what's coming out now. And because I know now it's a lot of sort of indie rock type of thing that's more popular, but I think more people are starting to get back into the more rock and roll stuff. So I think for the new generation, so to speak, it's a good album. I think it's a good album to introduce a younger audience into the Stones, really.
Mm-hmm.
With the 80s and 90s having so much backlash, I think coming from, well, I know it's a long time, but like coming from that into this time where everyone is so much more critical,
Mm-hmm.
that they've done pretty well in
Do you have a
Hackney
favorite
Diamonds.
song from the album?
I like I Want to Get Close to You. I think
Yeah.
that's a good song.
Cool.
Um, and well, I like my bluesy music, so I like the Rolling Stone blues,
Oh, that's
and
beautiful.
obviously, and "Angry" is a good catchy song. Like I like driving to the car, just like vibing to
Yeah,
that. It's pretty. It's That's a good song too. It's very catchy.
yeah. I very much love. I'm a sucker for "Mess It Up" whenever, and
Oh
that's
yeah,
for many reasons.
me
Obviously,
too.
Charlie's on there, but I don't know if you happen to catch the little Easter egg they put at the front of it. But you got to really turn it up, but make sure you turn it right down because it's going to blast you. But in the first
Yeah.
2 seconds, there's studio chatter right before it starts, and it's Charlie going, "Are you ready?" And then Mick in the back going, "Yeah," and then kapow, the song starts.
Oh, I'll have to
Yeah.
do that because I love finding that out because they have it in heaps of their songs. They've got like
Mm.
little,
Yeah.
things in the background. But I'll have to do that next time when I
Yeah, it's a
listen.
beautiful moment that I know they did just as a wink, for the big guy, so it's a great moment. But
Yeah.
yeah, but out of curiosity, did any of your friends or anyone in your circle pick up on any of the songs as well? Like, all right, that's a good song. Or your Beatles friend, perhaps, because that came out around now and then. Remember that? That like the same couple of months.
Yes, I know it did. Yeah, she did tell me that, and I was like, it's funny how they do that when the Stones album's been released.
Right.
um, a couple of my friends got into it, and one of my friends really liked what's it called? Whole Is it
Oh,
Whole
your whole wide
World?
world.
Yeah, he
Great
really,
one.
really enjoys that song. Um, and yeah, a few of them don't like they really liked Angry, and I think that's the main one because it's like
Hmm.
catchy. And I guess, having Sydney Sweeney in the film clip, that, appeals to the younger audience too. But
Right.
yeah, a couple of them, you know, they're like, yeah, it's all right, like, but I'm hoping, trust me, I do try. I do try.
You in the car, you like slip one in, like, oh, listen to this one. This is from
Yeah.
1990. Not too bad, or whatever,
Yeah.
not too
Oh
old.
yeah, do it all the time. Do it all the time.
I know. I always tend to do that too. That's why no one ever likes to ride with me in the car because they know, oh, okay, Justin's going to be putting on something from Bridges to Babylon again or
Yeah.
something. you know,
It's good.
uh,
It's good. They need to be educated.
yeah, we're doing a service here. Um,
Exactly.
I think it's crazy that here we are in 2024, but the album came out in 2023, and hopefully these albums hook new listeners in, new young people in, because that's what happened to me in 1997 with Bridges to Babylon. It was that album that was around and got me hooked in, and I've been hooked since. So hopefully there's a new, you know, branch of young people who are digging the Stones and going back, because like you say, it leaves some breadcrumbs to all the old stuff in a
Yeah,
way.
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that's like, even with me just having the greatest hits CD, like I was left with wanting more. And that's when I, found all the other songs and everything because I don't know, I can't just listen to the hits now, but
Yeah.
and so I just had to get into other stuff, and I'm just glad I liked it. Well, it is pretty good, I think. But, I think, and away from the hits too, I just think a lot of their other stuff is amazing that doesn't get recognized enough,
Hmm.
but I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
absolutely. Well, as we close up here, one question that I like to ask a lot of people, but if you had a day to hang out with one of the Stones, dead or
Oh,
alive, who would it be and why? And what would you do?
oh wow. I don't think I've ever thought of this.
Is that
Well, I'd love to hang out with Charlie, but then again, because I think that'd be nice.
have some
But
tea?
I'm just thinking, yeah,
Yeah.
who am I gonna have like? Ooh, I think it'd be cool. It'd be interesting to meet Brian and just to think like, what was he thinking? Maybe to pick his brain a bit.
Yeah, that's a good
But
one.
I think honestly, you know what? Actually, I think Keith would be the coolest to hang out with.
That's the answer we're looking for. Yeah, well, yeah, he has to be the easiest, coolest hang. that
Yeah,
guy, right?
yeah.
Like
He
Mick,
seems like a vibe.
oh yeah, Mick, I would be like, I can't speak about politics and the
Yeah.
economy or whatever the hell he wants to talk about.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't think I could do that either.
I'd love to talk to
And
him about movies.
oh yeah,
Mhm.
but I think Keith, could just relax, have a cigarette, just talk about. You could talk about anything with Keith, I reckon. I think you could
Yeah,
and he'd have some crazy stories, as we know,
yeah.
to just, go on about. So,
Let's see. Well, Bella, why don't we tell people how to find your wonderful work?
yes. So, if you head on to Instagram and follow at the Rolling Stones fan page and hit follow, that's me. And I'll be more active on it in the next few weeks. We'll get more things coming out for everyone. We'll see what happens. Very exciting.
What a great pleasure. Hopefully, we can do this again.
Yes, I'd love to. Thank you so much.